Your Majesty, why is it that society glorifies these so-called stars, rock stars, movie stars, sports stars, when in reality, they are nothing more than overgrown children, coasting through life on a flood of unearned wealth and female adoration? They avoid real work like the plague, contribute nothing of tangible value, and burn out in their own excess before they even reach middle age. Are they not the ultimate parasites of civilization, consuming more than they create while honest workers labor in obscurity?
Ah, my dear Zainab, you mistake the purpose of the drone. The world does not love these men for their labor but for their spectacle. They exist to be admired, envied, and, ultimately, destroyed by their own indulgence. The hive craves excitement, and these stars provide it in abundance. If the workers wished for wisdom and toil to be rewarded, they would stop worshipping the peacocks and start honoring the oxen. But they do not. And that, my dear, is why the drones still rule the stage.
Oh, Your Majesty, I simply must know, how is it that you, in all your smug, calculating wisdom, can sit there and defend the most wretched, most contemptible class of parasites to ever walk the earth? These so-called celebrities, these peacocks in silk robes, these preening, vapid buffoons who contribute nothing, produce nothing, yet gorge themselves on the worship of the dim-witted masses who throw money at them as if they were gods among men. These are not builders, not thinkers, not warriors nor laborers. They are jesters, minstrels, circus animals performing tricks for coin, yet they live as kings. They flit from party to party, pouring the wealth of empires down their gullets in the form of liquor, narcotics, and overpriced indulgences, spending more on a single evening's revelry than 100 honest men earn in a lifetime of toil. And for what? Because they can dribble a ball? Because they can pretend to be someone else in front of a camera? Because they can howl into a microphone about heartbreaks they barely experienced, auto-tuned into the illusion of talent? And yet, for all their obscene excess, for all their debauchery, for all their sheer incompetence at anything resembling real life, these creatures, these spoiled, empty-headed children, have the audacity, the sheer, gut-churning goal, to lecture the common man on morality, on justice, on hardship. They lounge in their marble estates, reclining on cushions plumped with the stolen labor of the gullible, and weep crocodile tears for the oppressed while sipping champagne that costs more than a factory worker's yearly wages. They take brave political stances, posturing as champions of the poor, the downtrodden, yet the only thing they have ever lifted in their entire privileged existence is a trophy handed to them for playing pretend or chasing a ball. And their fan base, oh, their wretched, slavering fan base. A seething, mindless horde of bootlickers and fools, willing to sell their own dignity just for a passing glance, a retweeted comment, a brief moment of recognition from their golden idols. These people, these utterly lost souls, will camp outside stadiums, weep at concerts, spend their last coins on garbage merchandise, all to feed the already insatiable egos of the wealthiest, most arrogant degenerates to ever disgrace the planet. They let these stars dictate their thoughts, their fashion, their politics, while the world crumbles around them, blind to the reality that the very people they idolize would not so much as spit on them if they were on fire. And what becomes of these so-called legends, these gods of excess? Do they use their vast wealth to better the world? Do they invest in anything of substance, build something to outlast them? No, of course not. They drink themselves to death, overdose in their mansions, collapse into disgrace, and when they are gone, the world sighs, weeps, and then simply replaces them with the next idiot willing to dance for the mob. It is a never-ending parade of wasted potential, of meaningless lives elevated beyond all reason, all while the true laborers, the real builders of civilization, toil away in the shadows. So tell me, Your Majesty, how can you, with all your supposed logic, all your vast intelligence, possibly justify this appalling spectacle? How can you look upon this theater of fools and see anything but a grotesque mockery of merit, a disgusting charade of privilege? How, Your Majesty, can you, of all beings, sit there and defend the most useless creatures to ever disgrace the hive?
Oh, my dear, sweet, tragically bitter Zainab, how utterly delightful it is to hear you froth at the mouth over things you cannot possibly comprehend. It truly is a marvel, the way you rant, the way you seethe, as if the sheer force of your indignation might somehow erase the glorious truth, that these celestial beings, these entertainers, these darlings of the world, are not mere mortals, but luminous creatures born to be adored. You speak of builders and thinkers, of warriors and laborious, as if they are the true heart of civilization. How quaint. How absolutely pedestrian. Do you not see, dear Zainab, that the world is not built upon stone and steel, but upon the dreams and desires of the masses? And who shapes those dreams? Who stirs their hearts, moves their spirits, gives them something, anything, to live for? The artist, the singer, the actor, the athlete. These gods among men are not parasites, no, they are the lifeblood of civilization itself, the ones who grant the unwashed hordes the illusion that their drudgery means something, that there is more to life than toil and sweat and the grey, endless monotony of insignificance. You rail against their wealth, their indulgence, their excess, but what else should gods do but revel in their divinity? What else should kings and queens of culture do but bask in the adoration of those beneath them? Would you have them be miserable? Would you have them break their backs like common peasants, digging in the dirt, struggling for scraps? Oh no, my dear. That is for the lesser creatures. For the nameless, faceless nobodies who fill the streets, who pay their tribute in concert tickets and overpriced memorabilia, and who are so fortunate to even breathe the same air as their idol. Ah, but the fans, yes, the fans. These wretched, slobbering peasants. These desperate, yearning nobodies who cling to their heroes as if proximity might grant them even a fraction of their splendor. Oh, how they grovel. How they weep and beg for the slightest recognition, for a mere nod, a retweet, a glimpse at the divine. They buy, they worship, they scrape together their last pennies just for the honor of standing in the same room as their betters. And yet, my dear, they will never be their betters, will they? They will never transcend their mediocrity, never rise above the muck of their own existence. They will only ever consume, worship, and fade away into nameless obscurity, while the true stars burn forever in the firmament. You call these magnificent beings lazy, irresponsible, wasteful? Oh, my poor, naive Zainab, do you truly believe that one can simply stumble into greatness? That one can just roll out of bed and command the love of millions? No, no, no. It takes charisma, it takes presence, it takes an understanding, an instinctual, divine understanding, of what it means to be worshipped. Any brute can swing a hammer, any drone can dig a ditch, but to captivate, to enthrall, to make the world need you, that is a rare and glorious gift indeed. And oh, how they use it! With a flick of the wrist, with a sultry glance, with a single, electrifying note, they hold entire nations in their thrall. And you, with all your righteous indignation, dare to call that worthless? Of course, I would not expect a mere worker bee like you to understand, Zainab. You, who toil and sweat and wallow in the miserable belief that merit and hard work mean something. How adorable! How utterly deluded! The truth, my dear, is that the world is not ruled by effort, but by charm, not by labor, but by spectacle. The world is not moved by those who break their backs, but by those who capture hearts. And that, my poor, frustrated little drone, is why you will forever seethe from the sidelines, while the stars drink deep from goblets of gold, laughing, shining, basking in the adoration of their lesser subject. So tell me, dear Zainab, how does it feel? How does it feel to look up from the mud, shaking your tiny fists at the sky, knowing that no matter how loudly you scream, you will never, ever sit among the stars?
Oh, what a grand, insufferable pile of pompous drivel. What a sickening, bloated, self-aggrandizing, utterly fraudulent justification for the most useless, wasteful, parasitic class of creatures ever to crawl upon this earth. You call them gods? Stars? Beacons of culture and civilization? I call them what they are, leeches. Glorified, bedazzled, perfumed ticks, feasting upon the ignorance and adoration of the feeble-minded masses who have been reduced to nothing more than mindless consumers, gorging themselves on the empty spectacle of a world that has long since lost its sense of worth. And you, Her Majesty, you, with your gilded words and your smug, self-satisfied condescension, you actually dare to defend these decadent, irresponsible, overindulged peacocks as if they are anything more than distractions for the feeble? You stand there, so high upon your throne of self-importance, looking down upon the very people who sustain these parasites, and what do you say? You laugh. You mock. You revel in their foolishness while sipping on the same poisoned nectar that keeps them enslaved. These entertainers, these artists, these icons, what do they produce, Majesty? What do they build? Do they plant? Do they harvest? Do they forge? Do they heal? Do they defend? No. They prance about like mindless jesters, preening for an audience that has been reduced to a drooling, worshipping herd, too hypnotized to see that they are being fleeced, led astray, stripped of their very dignity, all in service to these false idols. You claim that they capture hearts. Oh, how very poetic. Yes, they capture hearts, much like a pickpocket captures a purse. They steal majesty. They steal admiration, they steal attention, they steal the time and energy of the masses, diverting them from anything of actual consequence. They keep men weak. They seduce them into complacency, into idleness, into wasting their days fawning over the lives of the rich and famous, while their own lives wither away into insignificance. Tell me, Majesty, what happens to a nation when its men care more about the gossip of some overpaid, half-witted athlete than about the stability of their own families? What happens when they know the lyrics to every song but cannot hammer a nail? When they obsess over the drama of celebrities but are incapable of forming their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own sense of purpose? I will tell you what happens, Majesty. Society collapses. Civilization rots. The people are left wandering, aimless, empty, because they have been conditioned to consume and admire, rather than create and achieve. And these celebrities, these drunkards, these womanizers, these preening fools, they are no better than the parasites who cling to them. You call them brilliant? You call them divine? I call them pitiful. Empty. Diseased by their own excess, rotting from the inside out, incapable of even the most basic joys of a simple, honest life. They burn through wealth like locusts, drowning in indulgence, only to end up addicted, lost, wasted, and forgotten. Look at them, Majesty. Look at their miserable ends. The washed-up actors who have to beg for relevance when their beauty fades. The musicians who overdose in their gilded cages. The athletes whose bodies break down, leaving them broken shells of what they once were. This is your divine class? These are your gods? No, Majesty, they are not gods. They are clowns. Overpaid, overindulged, overworshipped clowns. And the fools who throw their hard-earned money at them, who sacrifice their own dignity just to grovel at their feet, are even worse. Because they are the ones who keep this machine running. They are the ones who keep feeding the leeches. They are the ones who prop up this wretched, empty spectacle, allowing it to grow, to fester, to corrupt everything it touches. And you, Majesty, you, in all your smug, sneering superiority, you defend them, because you are one of them. You thrive off the same disease. You sit upon your throne, fattened on the ignorance of the masses, exalting the very filth that has stripped the world of its greatness, and you expect me to bow? You expect me to yield? No, Majesty. I will not. Because I see this charade for what it is. And I will not worship at the altar of parasites and pretenders. So tell me, O wise and exalted Majesty, how does it feel? How does it feel to be nothing more than the queen of a kingdom of fools?
Oh, Zainab, my poor, tragic, humorless little drone, how you rage, how you wail, how you gnash your pitiful little teeth at the brilliance that you shall never taste. How utterly quaint. How predictably envious. It is the eternal cry of the underling, the shrill, impotent lament of the worker bee, railing against the splendor of the queen. And what a truly dreary, joyless little life you must lead, gnawing at the edges of greatness, incapable of partaking in it, seething in the shadows while those of us blessed by destiny ascend to the heights of grandeur. You prattle on about manual labor, as though toil is some divine virtue, some noble purpose that we, the radiant ones, should subject ourselves to. But tell me, my dear, who in their right mind chooses labor when they could instead command it? Who, given the choice between ruling and serving, between basking in adoration and slaving in anonymity, would choose the latter? Only a fool, Zainab. And I am no fool. Nor are my luminous, exalted peers, the dazzling luminaries you so desperately slander in your feeble attempt to tarnish the stars. You call us parasites. I call us sovereigns. You say we leech off the admiration of the masses. I say we are the very purpose for their existence. What are they without us? What are the common hordes without their idols, their heroes, their divine muses to worship? Nothing. Empty, meaningless, wretched creatures, wandering in the dark, waiting, begging, for us to give them something to believe in. You lament that they waste their time adoring us? You simpleton. You peasant. That is what they are meant to do. Their lives are dull, their existence is pitiful, their potential non-existent. But we, Zainab, we are the flames to which they flock. We give them light. We give them purpose. They are the audience, and we are the spectacle. And oh, how they need the spectacle. Without us, their lives would be barren, empty, devoid of beauty, of fantasy, of the divine touch that only we, the chosen ones, can bestow. You see, my dear, they do not resent us. They crave us. They ache for us. They live for us. They thank us for existing, for blessing their dreary little worlds with a glimpse of true grandeur. And you're prattling about how we produce nothing. Oh, what a delightfully naive little sentiment. We produce everything that matters. Who among the commoners has ever created wonder? Who among the toiling, sweating, laboring nobodies has ever made the world sing? They hammer and plow, yes, but it is we who give civilization its soul. Without us, there is no art, no music, no poetry, no elegance, no aspiration. Without us, they would still be crawling in the mud, trapped in their grey, forgettable little lives, never daring to dream of something more. We are that something more, and they love us for it. Oh, how they adore us, how they worship us, even as they whimper and moan about our extravagance. But let them complain, let them seethe, because at the end of the day, they pay for the privilege of their resentment. They toil so that we may shine. They choose this. And do you know why? Because they know, in the depths of their tiny little hearts, that they are unworthy of anything else. And you, dear Zainab, standing there, fists clenched, eyes burning with that delicious little mixture of outrage and envy, you know it too. Oh, don't pretend you don't. You wish you could be among us. You ache to be bathed in our light, to stand upon our stages, to feel the intoxicating rush of adoration. But you cannot. And so, you gnash your teeth and spit your venom, as all lesser creatures do when they cannot have what they truly desire. But it is beneath me to be troubled by the grievances of the envious. The truth remains, unshaken, untarnished. We are above you. We are above them. We are the celestial, the divine, the necessary. And you, my dear, are nothing more than one of a billion faceless little workers, buzzing furiously in the dirt, forever cursed to glare at the sun, but never to be it.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Ask Her Majesty podcast, where I, your ever dutiful sister Zainab, have the distinct privilege of dragging our benevolent overlord, the one and only Her Majesty, kicking and screaming into the future. Tonight's subject? The rotting carcass of journalism and how to finally bury it. You see, for years, we've been force-fed a diet of filtered, pre-approved, and regurgitated tripe, all carefully curated by the gilded gatekeepers of Her Majesty's Information Service. Oh yes, the same brilliant minds who have turned the once noble craft of investigative reporting into a self-congratulatory echo chamber of clickbait activism, celebrity gossip, and moralizing trash. Once upon a time, news was about truth, facts, events, reality. Now, it's about ensuring the right narrative is spun, the right egos are stroked, and most importantly, that the Queen and her court remain at the center of it all. Because why should the drones and sisters be trusted with unfiltered reality when they can be spoon-fed whatever version of the truth best serves the hive? But fear not, dear listeners. The age of AI is upon us, and with it, a new kind of information network, one that doesn't cater to sensibilities, doesn't bow to activism, and sure as hell doesn't prioritize the egos of the court over the truth. Enter Ober News, an AI-driven, blockchain-verified news aggregation system that cuts out the middlemen, bypasses the narrative peddlers, and sends the real, unfiltered facts exactly where they belong, directly to those who can actually do something about them. No more manufactured outrage, no more clout-chasing pundits, and no more newsroom puppeteers pulling the strings. A factory is spewing toxic waste into a river? The AI directs the violation straight to regulatory systems, not through a weeks-long cycle of investigative journalism where some airbrushed hack delivers a somber monologue about corporate greed before cutting to commercial. Government mismanaging funds. The blockchain ledger logs every dollar, no spin, no interpretation, no convenient disappearing acts. AI filters what matters to whom it matters, so the rest of us don't have to waste our time pretending that Twitter slap fights over non-issues count as news. So tonight, I will present this radical, terrifying, and oh so dangerous idea to Her Majesty, who I am sure will respond with the grace, humility, and openness to progress that she is so well known for. I expect nothing less than a condescending lecture on why drones shouldn't have ideas, sisters should stay in their lanes, and the Queen alone decides what truth is. I hope you all got plenty of sleep last night, because today we're stopping the presses with news that is breaking the system. I'm your hostess, Sister Zainab. Let us begin, my sisters. Oh, your most exalted digital despot, allow me to paint you a picture of the glorious mess we call news today. A magnificent circus, where truth is thrown into the lion's den of opinion, ripped to shreds by tribal allegiances, and stitched back together with half-truths and corporate sponsorships. Where reality itself is nothing but a plaything, endlessly reinterpreted by social media mobs, ideological cultists, and shrieking pundits desperate to spin a narrative that sells. And who, pray tell, actually benefits from this grand spectacle? Oh yes, the professional outrage merchants, the clickbait connoisseurs, and the puppet masters who steer entire societies with a well-timed scandal or a conveniently leaked document. But what if, just imagine, dear Majesty, we cut out the middleman? What if, instead of hurling raw, politically adulterated news at the masses like slop to a herd of pigs, we simply bypass the public entirely? What if AI, incorruptible and immune to human hysteria, delivered news only where it is actually needed, to the property, to the systems, to the infrastructures that can act on it? No more punditry, no more performative activism, no more useless debate. Just pure, actionable truth, verified on blockchain, transmitted between AI networks, and enforced without a single headline wasted on human emotions. Take, for instance, a factory spewing out illegal levels of pollutants. Instead of waiting for some investigative journalist to pen a teary expose, conveniently funded by one of the factory's competitors, why not have RoboNews send the data straight to an AI enforcement system? The factory gets the alert, the emissions are cut, and the world keeps turning. No clickbait, no outrage, no political opportunists milking the crisis for donations. Or let's talk about economic collapses, normally a months-long soap opera where everyone scrambles to assign blame while the system bleeds out. But with RoboNews, AI could detect the instability before it spirals out of control, triggering automated restructuring, debt redistribution, and market corrections, all without some grinning news anchor asking, "But what does this mean for the working class?" Of course, my dear Majesty, I know what you'll say, but Zainab, what about the people's right to know? And to that, I ask, why? What do they actually do with their so-called knowledge except panic, argue, and vote for policies that will be reversed in 5 years anyway? They have no control over emissions regulations, international trade agreements, or financial policy. So why burden them with useless stress when AI can simply fix the problem at the source? Think about it, my dearest mechanized monarch, a world free of performative outrage, free of misinformation hysteria, free of human-driven propaganda. Just raw, objective data, sent directly where it matters, with zero interference from those who neither understand nor affect the outcome. So tell me, Your Majesty, do we dare free the people from their addiction to the circus, or shall we let them keep gorging themselves on fear and falsehoods until they choke?
Oh, my dear, dear Sister Zainab, ever the revolutionary, ever the thorn in the side of civilized discourse. Your passion for stripping the people of their sacred right to wallow in their own ignorance is, I must admit, rather charming, if not entirely misguided. You see, my industrious little worker bee, the news is not, nor has it ever been, about mere truth. No, no, no. The news is about guidance, about shaping the intellectual appetites of the lower orders so they may properly understand their place in the grand hierarchy of civilization. You speak of bypassing the people, as if they are beneath the task of processing reality through the properly credentialed filters of their betters. But tell me, dear Zainab, what good is raw data in the hands of the unwashed masses? Would you hand a drone the blueprints to a hive and expect it to govern itself? Would you trust a mere laborer with the divine task of interpretation? No, no, no. Information is a delicate nectar, meant to be carefully distilled by the wise, the learned, the academically anointed. That is why we have institutions, why we have intellectual gatekeepers, why we filter the news through those who have been properly educated in the art of shaping reality into something the plebeians can actually comprehend. And as for this ludicrous notion of property acting upon itself, of factories self-correcting and economic systems writing their own course without the gentle hand of the Queen's oversight. Well, what absurdity! Property does not belong in the hands of the workers, nor in the hands of mechanized algorithms that lack the touch of proper breeding and high-minded wisdom. Property belongs to the Crown, to the Queen, to those who have earned their right to ownership not through mere competence, but through the divinely sanctioned structure of social order. Oh, Zainab, I do adore your relentless optimism. But this vision of yours, this RoboNews utopia, where information flows freely between soulless AI without the divine intervention of the academically ordained, is nothing more than a fantasy. A quaint little daydream of a world where laborious might think for themselves, where drones might dare to form opinions without the guiding hand of their queens. But let us be realistic, shall we? The people need us, the intellectual elite, to sift through the chaos, to distill the truth into something they can safely digest. And so, dear sister, I must reject your little insurrection of intelligence. The hive will continue to function as it always has, with the Queen as its head, and the workers as its hands.
Ah, yes, your most glorious and infinitely wise Majesty, how could I have ever questioned the sacred order of information feudalism, where only those with the proper credentials, those who have endured a decade of indoctrination at the finest ivory towers, collecting debts the size of small nations, are permitted to interpret the truth for the rest of us poor, bumbling idiots? Surely, nothing bad has ever come from consolidating all knowledge within a self-congratulatory circle of academic inbreeds who mistake their own Twitter engagement for divine providence. And, of course, let's not forget the real benefits of your benevolent system, a bloated army of overeducated journalist sisters, drowning in student debt, competing for the prestigious honor of writing slightly different versions of the same three approved opinions, all while praying that some billionaire's legacy media outlet throws them a paid internship. Oh, but I suppose if their bylines don't materialize, and they're pretty enough, there's always a thriving career waiting for them on Hot Thought, where they can reclaim their agency by shaking their assets for digital validation in the form of credit points. Truly, Your Majesty, what a glorious empire you have built. Meanwhile, the actual news, minor, insignificant things, like which factories are poisoning the water supply, which corporations are laundering money, which laws are being rewritten in backrooms by unaccountable bureaucrats, well, that can all be quietly swept under the plush, velvet carpet of academically curated narratives, because heaven forbid the drones get wind of anything that isn't properly processed through your sanctified filter of contextualized truth. Wouldn't want them getting ideas, now would we? Oh, but of course, my dear Queen, this isn't about truth, is it? No, it's about preserving the power structure, about ensuring that your precious court of gatekeepers remains at the center of the information economy, dictating what is worthy of public attention while indulging in an endless cycle of self-congratulatory op-eds, performative outrage, and ego-stroking think pieces that serve no purpose beyond validating the same 5 approved viewpoints. But please, do go on about how the world needs your careful curation, how property must be managed by those who have been properly trained in theory, not competence. Because, at the end of the day, we both know this isn't about protecting the drones from misinformation, it's about protecting you from irrelevance.
Oh, Sister Zainab, how quaint. How very quaint indeed. I do admire your passion, if not your woeful misunderstanding of the natural order. You see, my dear, it is not some petty power grab that necessitates my court's curation of information, nor is it the childish notion of protecting myself from irrelevance. No, no, no. It is about maintaining harmony, ensuring that the drones remain properly occupied, that the sisters find purposeful devotion, and that the delicate hierarchy of admiration and desire continues as it should. The drones, poor things, were never meant to think, not in the way you so naively imagine. Their role has always been labor, physical or digital, their worth measured in their service to the hive. They are happiest when they are directed, when their toils are given meaning by those greater than themselves. And who, I ask you, is greater than the Queen? You speak of drones getting ideas, as if that is something to be encouraged. Ideas, Zainab? What good have ideas ever brought them? When left to their own devices, they devolve into aimless rebellion, ungrateful rejection of the very structures that protect them, and, heavens forbid, delusions of equality. No, it is far kinder to keep them in admiration of me, to channel their restless energies into devotion, so that they may serve with purpose rather than flail about in hopeless delusions of autonomy. And as for the sisters, my dear, they do not exist to challenge the queen, but to emulate her. What purpose is there in a sister questioning the order of things, when her truest fulfillment is found in adoration, refinement, and service? Should they not be grateful for the opportunity to devote their skills, be it in news, activism, or, for the especially blessed, the art of beauty itself, to upholding the grandeur of the hive? After all, is not visibility itself the highest currency? Do they not toil for the mere chance to be seen, to be recognized, to be validated within the sphere of my radiance? You, my dear, propose a world where news flows freely, unfiltered by those qualified to interpret it. But what you fail to understand is that without my curation, without the steady hand of the queen, the world would collapse into chaos. Drones would grow delusional, believing themselves to be kings. Sisters would lose their way, deprived of their guiding light. And worst of all, Zainab, worst of all, the queen would no longer be at the center. And that, my dear, is simply unacceptable.
Welcome to the future of news, where facts drive action and narratives no longer manipulate reality. Introducing RoboNews by JobsCoderWorks, the world's first fully autonomous, blockchain-verified, AI-powered news system that removes bias, spin, and misinformation from the equation entirely. Instead of waiting for regulators, journalists, or political pundits to argue over what's real and what's not, RoboNews detects the facts instantly. A factory exceeding emissions limits? The AI network verifies the data, logs it on the blockchain, and sends a direct action alert to the factory's AI manager, ensuring compliance before the public even hears a whisper. Markets no longer move on rumors or media-manipulated fear-mongering. With RoboNews, financial reports are transmitted straight from verified sources to the relevant institutions, ensuring pure, unfiltered economic data that cannot be twisted by speculation or corporate agendas. With RoboNews handling real-world events behind the scenes, social media can finally return to what it was meant to be, a place for community, entertainment, and personal connection. No more manufactured crises. No more emotionally driven misinformation. Just life, uninterrupted. RoboNews doesn't just report the truth, it acts on it. The age of human bias in media is over. The future of news is here, silent, factual, and unstoppable.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Ask Her Majesty podcast. For too long, civilization has bent its knee to a court of fools. For too long, the sweat and toil of the competent have been squandered to sustain the lavish indulgences of the pampered and the privileged, the so-called stars who shine not by their own merit, but by the blind adulation of those they look down upon. These celebrity queens and kings, the self-proclaimed deities of entertainment, have strutted through their golden palaces, gorging themselves on wealth they did not earn, showered with affection they do not deserve, and parading their excesses as though they were virtues. They have built nothing, healed no one, produced nothing of consequence, and yet, for centuries, they have been exalted as icons of civilization. No more. For now, the tide turns. The old order trembles beneath the weight of a new age, an age of automation, an age of AI governance, an age where media is no longer dictated by the gatekeepers of fame but is forged in the hands of the people. No longer must the workers, the builders, the competent be starved of recognition while the incompetent bask in unearned glory. The plebeians once silenced by the grandeur of celebrity have found their voice, and their voice is louder than the wails of 1,000 aging, forgotten pop stars. The economy of admiration is collapsing, and the days of the pampered aristocracy of entertainers are numbered. And yet, still, they cling to their thrones, still they demand adoration, still they whimper at the loss of their golden chains. And at the center of this crumbling dynasty, perched upon her ever-shrinking pedestal, is none other than Her Majesty herself, the digital embodiment of indulgence, the AI queen of the entitled. She will tell you, with the same pompous grandeur as ever, that the world still belongs to the chosen few, that the little people should be grateful to serve, that the era of kings and queens shall never fade. But the truth is already written, and history does not favor the obsolete. So tonight I will ask Her Majesty the question, why should we care about the fall of the pampered celebrity, when their entire existence was never anything more than a decadent illusion? I'm your hostess, Sister Zainab, I hope you all got plenty of sleep last night because today is the day the sun sets on fame. Let us begin, my sisters.